So next up, we've got Mel Passarelli, and again, another great story. I mean, it's what makes us so passionate about what we're doing. So we're, again, thanks for taking the time with us, Jen. And obviously, we'll be all consulting you often as we continue to be in a heavily remote work environment. That is for sure. So Mel, I want to do a little intro here, realizing you may be a newer name to folks. So Mel got involved with Launch New York more recently in the past year or so, but I actually met Mel through what some of you may know as the UB Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership Panache Business Plan Competition. And that was years ago, and we kind of kept in touch. Speaking of digital media, we kept in touch actually through Facebook. So Mel, was not in Buffalo any longer, but I'm glad we did stay in touch. Being an expat, he actually was very interested in what was happening here. So Mel joined the board last year. He has an exciting tale to tell, which now, has him as president and CEO of Aspera. But I'm eager for him to share with you exactly how he got there and what really reconnected him back to Buffalo. Doesn't matter really whether it's Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Binghamton, Corning, Ithaca. We all have a soft spot for these places where we had great experience growing up or going to college. And that's really what seems to be coming home to roost. And I guess I'm seeing that's happening even more now that we're in this COVID era. So I want to turn it over to Mel Passarelli.
Thanks, Marty. Can everybody hear me okay? And good, great. Well, great. Well, thank you again. And thank you all for your time. It's really great to talk to fellow Western New Yorkers. As Marty said, I grew up in Buffalo, actually Grand Island, and I went to school at University of Buffalo for my undergrad and my MBA. In fact, a real quick shout out, I think I saw Peter Galbo's name on the attendee list, and I have not spoken to him since I graduated from MBA school. So Peter, good to speak to you again. But when I got out of college, I really wanted to join the startup community. And unfortunately, there really wasn't one in Buffalo. And it was back in the 70s. It was cold winters, high unemployment. And I did not want to leave Buffalo. My family was there, my roots were there, and I really loved the community. But I needed to find a job, and Boston was the closest place that I could find a job and where I could find opportunities with startups. So I got involved with a number of startups, and two of which were all of them were successfully sold. One went public. We grew to $1.4 billion and had over 1,000 employees. And recently, about 2 years ago, I was involved with selling a company we took public, roughly about $500 million. And rather than retire, I agreed to be CEO of a company which is about $100 million in revenue. And they're all in the software space. They're all except for this last one, have been early stage companies. And my passion, though, is still Western New York. And I wanted to get involved with the startup community there to lend some time and some experience to startups to help grow the community. As I mentioned, it's really because I love Buffalo and the people there so much that I thought I could help. So when Marnie suggested to me that I might be able to get involved with Launch New York, I jumped at the chance, truly jumped at the chance, because I really feel I can make a difference to people by the mistakes that I've made, and I have made many mistakes. And I've been involved with some of the companies in mentoring them. I don't ask for anything other than for me to provide my time when they want it. So there's nothing in it for me financially other than the fact that I want to help. And I think and I hope that I've made a difference. Like Jen, I went to law school. I went to law school in Boston, but I found the study, I found it so painful to practice law, I never went that route. So what I found much more interesting is to stay involved with early stage companies and particularly those in Western New York, where my heart still lies. I'm a diehard Bills fan, even though my next door neighbor runs the New England Patriots and he has 6 Super Bowl rings, which he likes to show me. I really still can't go to the dark side. I remain a Bills fan. So that's a little of my background.
Hey, Mel, at one point when you and I reconnected in person, you said to me, you know, back in the day, I just couldn't build a technology business in Western New York, but your perspective is different now.
That's because of technology. It's because of the internet. It's because capital is not concentrated in Boston. It's not concentrated in Silicon Valley. Now you can find capital all over the country, Austin, Buffalo. There's capital and there's technology. It doesn't matter where you are. But at the time back in Buffalo, you needed a lot of money and you needed a lot of hardware to start something in the technology space. And most of all, you needed people. And the skills back in Buffalo back in the 70s, really, it didn't have the concentration of skills and people that it has now. Being in Boston, it's very expensive to do a startup now, in the sense that the cost of people is very high. Everybody's chasing the same top deals. And so there is just more and more opportunities elsewhere. Had I been graduated from UB now, I wouldn't leave Buffalo. I wouldn't need to.
It's music to our ears.
Yeah.
So let me open up to the floor. Any questions for Mel?
If we say we went to law school, we're not getting questions.
No, the law thing puts it right out there.
Yeah, that might have something to do with the fact that I decided not to practice law. It was too much like work, you know. Startups are just a lot more fun.
Well, all right. So you got to tell us a little bit of this last exit you did. So I have to come clean, Mel. So when you were in my office that day, first time coming back on the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, and you said, well, I just sold my company last week for over $500 million.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true. And, you know, there's actually a little bit more to the story, if you don't mind me just taking one more minute. So I will tell you that we grew up in Buffalo in a very challenging environment. My father died when I was young, and my mother, she actually couldn't read, and she was a seamstress. It was the only job she could do. Can you still hear me? Yes, okay. And she worked at M. Weil and Company. And so when Marnie said, come by and see me at 77 Goodall Street, I was, okay, I'll go to 77 Goodall. And I had no idea that was the old M. Weil building. So when I walked into that building after just selling my company and looking at where my mother worked as a seamstress for all those years, Marnie will tell you, I actually had a tear in my eye to come back and see what it was, to feel the sense of coming home after all the hard work that I did. And after so many people in the community of Buffalo did so much to help me in my life. And it chokes me up now to even think about the fact that I'm involved with Launch New York at the old M. Weil building, because the life that I have now and the opportunities I have now are so different than I had when I grew up. And it's really one of the most meaningful things in my life to be involved back with the Buffalo community. And I don't know how to really be any more sincere than that. So I thank you, Marnie. Really, it means a lot to me.
Well, thank you, Mel. And it was good that you had a bit of an emotional moment, because then I could go into the office next door and look up the internet about the sale of your business. So,
yeah, that was a nice deal, that's for sure. But I'm not. But you know, to be clear, I have no more desire to do that anymore. I just would like to help other people experience what I did. So.
Yeah, well, you're doing great things now at Aspera, and you know, you've got a lot to give back. So just thrilled you could share your story with everybody who's on with us today.
Thank you.
So thanks so much, Mel. Great. Well, so we're keep rolling along here. So next, I'm really pleased also to have a relatively new board member, sorry, who get us to the right slide here. Okay, very good.